Sometimes when I work with senior leaders and we're talking about how the front line is connecting to the goals and the priorities that senior leaders are working on, they're really frustrated because they're saying like they're not either they're not following it, or they say, oh, we've heard this a bunch, or we're so confused, or they aren't even adopting it, or acting like it's the future focus at all. So not that communication is the only challenge when these types of things come up, but it is an opportunity for you to stop and take an assessment of maybe how you're connecting the dots when you're communicating. So one of the things I think that's most effective for this is to create a visual for what you're focused on. So that if you have a 5-year strategic plan or a 3-year strategic plan, and people are going to have categories or pillars of major things that they're working on based on their values or components of their vision. So create a visual that has those 4 pillars or those 4 major components with maybe some high level KPI percentages for each. And so we always know that for this particular thing for our customer base, we're headed for this percentage change. So that visual, and using that visual each time that you're talking about an update, each time that you're talking or celebrating a win or talking about some different challenges that you're coming up with, even having, the visual to say here are the 4, and then it like focuses in on this and gives some updates on that. It's a great subconscious tool for people to be able to almost rattle off. If I was to walk around with a microphone and say, what are your 4 pillars of things that you're focused on as a business? Most of the time, what will happen is even with the visual and the way that we bring that up consistently, and we talk about how the thing we're talking about today connects to that bigger item, people will be able to articulate at least those 4 keywords. I know we're doing something on this. I know we're trying to do this for our customers, and I know we're trying to do this with our operations. So that's going to be a helpful tool to make sure that people are at least generally aligned with where the momentum of the organization is going and the priorities that are associated with it. The other thing that I think is really important is if you have a metric associated with each of those categories, then you can show targeted progress towards the metric, or you can, talk about some of the obstacles that are getting in the way of that. So people are able to understand, hey, progress towards a goal. Think about a big fundraising campaign that, has the thermometer that they, fill it up with red paper and it's kind of bursting out the top when you meet the goal. Something like that gets people motivated to say, wow, when I look across the 4, this one's the lower one. Hey, boss, what are we doing about that? Tell me a little bit more, right? It can engage some conversation with folks. So just make sure that you're being effective with some visuals to be able to connect people back to the strategic priorities and use them when you're talking about them so that they have that as a frame of reference, almost like a branding, like a little logo for each of those categories that are most important to your business.